The sky over Manhattan was soaked with gray, the kind of drizzle that made people walk faster, and umbrellas snap open like soldiers in formation. Outside Trump Tower, a soaked figure sat motionless on the sidewalk. His hoodie clung to his skin, his eyes hidden beneath the shadows of a tired brow. A cardboard sign sat beside him, barely legible in the downpour. Will work, just need a chance. Inside, former President Donald Trump was scheduled to meet a few veterans and local entrepreneurs. But as he stepped out of his car and glanced at the entrance, he paused. He saw the man ragged, wet, and yet still proud. Trump's security urged him to move along, but something about the man's expression stopped him. Not desperation, dignity. "Who is that?" Trump asked one of his aides. "Just another beggar, sir." Trump shook his head. "No one is just anything." He walked over, ignoring the cameras flashing behind him. The man lifted his gaze, and for a moment neither said a word. "What's your name?" Trump asked. The man hesitated. "Lucas." "Lucas Ray." Trump studied him. "You a vet?" "No, sir. Just had a bad fall in life. Lost my job, then my family, been trying to get back on my feet ever since." "You ever lie on that sign?" Lucas shook his head firm. "Never." Trump looked down at the wet cardboard and then back at Lucas. "Then maybe it's time someone gave you what you're asking for." Lucas blinked. "What do you mean?" Trump extended a hand. "Come inside. Let's find out if you're the real deal." The rain kept falling, but in that moment, hope returned quiet and unannounced. Lucas followed Trump inside, still drenched and hesitant. Trump's staff looked alarmed but said nothing as he led Lucas into a side room. A young assistant brought him a towel and coffee. "Tell me what you can do," Trump said. "I used to manage inventory at a hardware warehouse. Before that, I worked construction. I even did some motivational speaking at my church." Lucas replied, clutching the warm mug. "And why are you on the streets?" Trump asked. "My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer, I spiraled. Couldn't keep a job. Then the bills came. Then the apartment went. I've been trying to claw my way back." "Ever since," Lucas explained, his voice calm but honest. Trump studied him again. "You still want to work?" "More than anything." Trump stood up. "All right, Lucas. I'm going to give you a job, entry level in maintenance at one of my buildings. Prove yourself. Show me you're not done." Lucas stared, speechless. "Thank you, sir. Don't thank me." "Earn it." Lucas started the next day. Trump's team set him up with basic clothes, a shared apartment for employees, and a starter paycheck. It wasn't glamorous. Scrubbing marble floors, fixing leaky faucets, moving supplies, but it was something his coworkers were skeptical. "That's the guy Trump brought in off the street," they whispered. But Lucas didn't care. Every mop stroke, every bolt tightened. He treated like a step toward redemption. At night, he read motivational books and jotted thoughts in a weathered notebook. His past didn't define him. "Not anymore." 6 days in as supervisor, Martin nodded after inspecting a polished lobby. "You're not bad, Ray." "Just getting started," Lucas said with a small smile. One afternoon, Lucas overheard a janitor crying in the break room. Her mother had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she didn't know how she'd manage. Lucas didn't say much. He just sat beside her and listened. After a while, he shared how he'd cared for his wife during her final months. "You ever think of being a counselor?" she asked through tears. Lucas chuckled. "I'm just a janitor." She shook her head. "Number, you're something else." That night, Lucas wrote in his notebook, "Pain is powerful when it has a purpose." He didn't know it yet, but those words would echo beyond his own story. 2 weeks later, Trump received an unexpected report. One of his building's employee morale scores had skyrocketed. "Why?" he asked. Lucas Ray, the HR director, replied, "He's not just working. He's encouraging others, writing quotes on the bulletin board, helping new hires." People follow his lead. Trump raised an eyebrow. "Get me the footage." From that location, he watched a clip of Lucas helping an elderly tenant with groceries, then cleaning without complaint, then later hugging a crying colleague. Trump smiled. "Interesting." He picked up the phone, invite him to the next employee event. Quietly at the company's quarterly employee gathering, Lucas sat in the back, stunned just to be included. But near the end, Trump unexpectedly walked to the podium. "Before I go, Trump said there's someone I want you all to hear from. He gestured toward Lucas, a man who went from the sidewalk to setting an example. Lucas Ray, come up here. The room fell silent. Lucas stood slowly, heart pounding. At the mic, he cleared his throat. 6 weeks ago, I was wet, hungry, and invisible, but someone took a chance on me. That's all I ever needed. He looked around. Everyone you meet is fighting something. Be kind, be brave, and never assume a chapter is the end of a book. Tears welled in the crowd. Trump nodded. Pleased well, said a staffer, uploaded the video of Lucas's speech to the company's internal network. Somehow it leaked onto social media. Within 48 hours, it had 2 million views. Homeless man turned employee inspires Trump, and thousands talk shows mentioned it. Motivational pages reposted it. People were asking, who is Lucas Ray? Lucas didn't have a phone, so he didn't know. But the next morning, strangers began approaching him on the street, shaking his hand. His coworkers started calling him Coach. I didn't do anything special, he told Martin. You reminded people of something they forgot. Martin replied. Trump's team received dozens of requests. Schools, veterans groups, shelters, all asking for Lucas to speak. They offered him a chance to travel and represent the Trump organization at charity events. Lucas was stunned. I'm just a janitor. You're more than that now, Trump said personally during a follow-up meeting. You've got a voice, use it. Lucas agreed, hesitant, but honored his first stop, a youth rehabilitation center in Brooklyn. He stood before 20 at teens, took a breath, and said, 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. I was wrong. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye. A month into his speaking engagements, Lucas received a handwritten letter. It was from a 14-year-old named Jake in Chicago. I saw your video. I was going to run away from home, but you made me think I'm going to try talking to my mom instead. Thank you for reminding me that people change. Lucas wept. Not because he was sad, but because someone had hurt him. Really hurt him. That night, he wrote in his notebook, you never know who you're saving when you speak your truth. One quiet morning, Lucas's apartment phone rang. Lucas, this is Melania Trump Donald, and I would like to invite you to a special fundraiser. It's for veterans and community rebuilding. I don't know what to say. Lucas stammered. Just bring your story, she said warmly. At the black tie event, Lucas wore a suit donated by a designer inspired by his journey. He shook hands with CEOs, generals, and even celebrities, all eager to meet the man who once sat in the rain with a cardboard sign. You don't belong on the sidelines anymore, Trump told him. You're meant to lead. At one of his events, a face in the crowd made Lucas freeze. It was David, his arranged younger brother. They hadn't spoken in over 5 years. Afterward, David approached. I saw the video. I didn't recognize you at first. Lucas smiled. I barely recognized myself. They hugged, tears quietly falling. David whispered, Mom would have been proud. Lucas replied, so would Sarah. That night, for the first time in years, Lucas felt whole again. Not because of the crowd or cameras, but because the people he loved were starting to return. Trump's team offered Lucas a permanent position as Director of Community Outreach. It was a huge step-up salary housing influence, but Lucas hesitated. He missed the people, the rawness of shelters, broken homes, lonely parks. That's where he felt most useful. He asked Trump for a private meeting. I appreciate the offer, Lucas said, but I want to keep traveling, speaking where no one else will. That's where my voice belongs. Trump respected that. Then I'll fund it under one condition. Keep changing lives. Lucas agreed. Deeply moved. Lucas returned to the spot outside Trump Tower, not to beg, but to sit quietly to remember. As he sat, a young man approached, dirty and trembling. He held a sign that read, Just Hungry. Lucas gave him his sandwich and said, 6 months ago, that was me. The man looked confused. Lucas stood, Come on, let's get you cleaned up. That day, a new story quietly began. CNN invited Lucas for a segment titled Second Chances. The host asked, What would you say to someone who doesn't believe people like you change? Lucas replied, I'd say they haven't seen the power of grace or a mop in the right hands. The segment went viral. Millions more heard his story. Schools began using his speech in classes. Even inmates in correctional facilities started writing letters to him. Lucas wasn't just a speaker now, he was a movement. At an event in Kansas, a 6-year-old girl gave Lucas a crayon drawing. It showed him holding a broom in one hand and a microphone in the other. She said, "You clean and talk like a hero." Lucas choked back tears. "Thank you. That's the best title I've ever had." He pinned that drawing to the wall of every place he visited. After that, Trump sent Lucas a handwritten note. Lucas in politics were taught to speak big and act bold, but sometimes the smallest act offering a job has the biggest impact. Thank you for reminding me what leadership looks like when no one's watching. Lucas kept that letter in his wallet. Lucas began organizing workshops in prisons, rehabs, and low-income schools. He started a small nonprofit, the Ray Project, helping former homeless individuals find jobs and rediscover dignity. People he once walked past were now his partners. 6 months after that rainy day, Lucas was invited to the National Leadership Summit. He thought he was just a guest, but as the event opened, the announcer said, "And now our keynote speaker, a man whose life proves that one chance can light 1,000 torches, Lucas Ray." Thunderous applause filled the hall. Lucas stepped onto the stage. Trump sat front row smiling. Lucas looked out at the crowd. "I was once invisible. Now I'm seen. But more importantly, I've learned to see others. Everyone deserves a shot, not just at survival, but at significance." As he finished, the room stood, not just for the man who once begged, but for the truth he carried. That night, Lucas returned to his small apartment and opened his old notebook. He wrote, "6 months ago, I was lost. Now I guide others." It wasn't a miracle, it was a moment. One man extended a hand, I took it, and now I pass it on. He closed the notebook smiling, because sometimes the biggest stages rise from the lowest places and the smallest gestures light